This two-star high school quarterback was so scared of playing at a big college that he almost chose a smaller school instead.
People said I was too big, too slow to play safety, but I saw Kam
Then
Chancellor.
he gets to Virginia Tech and they make him play 4 different positions in 4 years.
He got flattened at the 34.
Down the right sideline, and they're going to have a first.
Then he gets drafted in the 5th round and everyone calls him a project. Fast forward to Super Bowl 48, the Denver Broncos, the highest scoring offense in NFL history. First play, a bad snap, safety. Then, on Denver's 3rd offensive play of the game, this happens. Kam Chancellor absolutely detonates Demaryius Thomas over the middle. Game over before it even started. But here's what nobody tells you about Kam Chancellor. This quiet kid from Norfolk's housing projects didn't just become one of the greatest safeties in NFL history. He became so dominant that NFL offensive coordinators literally removed plays from their playbooks just because he was on the field. Receivers started getting alligator arms over the middle. Tight ends heard footsteps. And for 4 straight years, Seattle's defense was ranked number 1 in scoring, something no team had ever done in the Super Bowl era. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how a 2-star quarterback who didn't believe in himself became the most feared safety in football, how 4 position switches accidentally created the perfect defender, and why the Seattle Seahawks dynasty literally couldn't exist without him. By the end of this video, you'll understand why coaches still say the Chancellor role when they're drawing up defenses. Let's get into it. Kam Chancellor grew up in Norfolk, Virginia, in a housing project where survival came before dreams. His mother, Karen Lambert, raised 6 children alone, working as a bus driver, dump truck driver, delivering newspapers, operating trolleys. Whatever it took to keep the lights on, young Kam got bullied for his appearance, for his poverty, for what he didn't have. He went quiet, but quiet doesn't mean weak. It means observing, learning, waiting. By middle school, he'd become one of the top athletes in Norfolk, basketball, football. The kid who was picked last started being picked first, but he still woke up at 6 a.m. for workouts, still put his head down and worked. Eventually, his entire team started showing up at 6 a.m. too. His coach, Cornell Parker, said it best: "Kam's the guy everyone wants to be like. People just step in line behind him." At Maury High School, Chancellor played quarterback and safety. Senior year, he went off. Over 2,000 passing yards, 500 rushing yards, leading his team to 10-2. In one playoff game alone, 89 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns, 224 passing yards and 2 more scores. He was named First Team All-Eastern District at quarterback, Team MVP, and earned Second Team All-Tidewater honors. The production was there. The talent was obvious. Rivals.com ranked him the 27th pro-style quarterback in the nation, top 21st player in Virginia. But here's where it gets interesting. A finger injury cost him half his junior season, only threw for 1,000 yards that year. Scholarship offers weren't exactly flooding in. JMU's Kurt Newsom showed him love, and Brian Steinspring at Virginia Tech, the offensive coordinator who had his finger on the pulse of Tidewater recruiting, he knew about Chancellor, loved his raw ability, but Steinspring waited, needed to be sure. Then senior year, Chancellor started microwaving the competition, shredding defenses with his arm and legs in Maury's spread attack. Virginia Tech offered, and Chancellor? He almost said no. Seriously. He considered going to JMU instead. Even though Michael Vick was one of his favorite players, I didn't know anything about Tech, he'd later admit. When you're coming out of high school, you're sometimes afraid to try things or go away. I guess because this program was so big, I was scared I wasn't good enough or wouldn't fit in. Think about that. A future Hall of Fame safety. Scared he wasn't good enough. His coaches at Maury had to convince him. Tech would be a better place for you, they told him. It's a great program, and they see in you that you could be successful. So he took the leap, headed to Blacksburg. As a 2-star recruit, yes. But not because nobody wanted him. Because he almost didn't believe in himself enough to go where he belonged. Chancellor arrives in Blacksburg as a quarterback recruit. Tall, athletic, smart. But then injuries hit the secondary. Bud Foster's defense needed help at cornerback, and they needed it now. So they did something crazy. They took the freshman quarterback and threw him on an island at corner. 13 games, 7 starts, playing a position he'd barely practiced. And you know what? He didn't drown, because Chancellor brought something cornerbacks usually lack: quarterback's mind. He could read formations, anticipate routes, understand offensive intentions before the ball was snapped. 9 total tackles that first year, but the foundation was set. They moved him again, this time to Rover, Virginia Tech's hybrid strong safety/linebacker spot. The enforcer who lives in the box, covers tight ends, and triggers downhill on run fits. 14 games, 79 tackles. Virginia Tech wins the ACC, makes the Orange Bowl. But more importantly, Chancellor found his voice: short, directive, calm. He started calling out defensive adjustments with the clarity of, well, a quarterback, because that's what he was. Another move, free safety now, the deep middle, range, leverage, patience. 12 games, 64 tackles, 3 tackles for loss. Tech wins the ACC again, beats Cincinnati in the Orange Bowl. Chancellor's setting coverages, aligning the front, owning the middle of the field like it's rental property, and he's the landlord. Senior year, team captain. Full circle back to free safety. His college career totals: 39 games, 152 tackles, 4 interceptions, half a sack. Numbers that don't jump off the page. But here's what the stats don't show: a player who didn't just survive 4 position switches. Each move revealed a new layer: coverage length from corner, force and fit from rover, range and communication from free safety. By the end, he was all ACC, the defense's communicator, the guy who hated missed tackles like some people hate betrayal. He once admitted he feared leadership. By senior year, that fear had become his superpower. April 2010. The NFL draft. Chancellor waits and waits. Round 1 goes by, round 2, round 3, round 4, finally round 5. Pick 133, Seattle Seahawks. At Pete Carroll and John Schneider were building something, a thesis. They'd just taken Earl Thomas in round 1.
NFL draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Earl Thomas.
They were about to grab Richard Sherman in round 5 the next year, the long, mean corner with a chip on his shoulder. And now they had Chancellor.
Picked off. That should do it.
The strong safety who hits like a linebacker, covers tight ends like a press corner, and communicates like a quarterback. Length outside, range in the middle, violence in the box. The Legion of Boom was assembling piece by piece.
Off by Kam Chancellor.
Chancellor's first year, he sat behind veteran lawyer Malloy, special teams ace, rotational player, learning. And he didn't complain. He destroyed people on kickoff coverage. He studied film. He learned the language of NFL defenses, because in Seattle's building, they were already using different words for him: soul, center, thermostat. They saw something beyond strong safety, something the stat sheet couldn't measure. Kam Chancellor wins the starting strong safety job. 97 tackles, 4 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, Pro Bowl selection. But the stat line was just the index. The film told the full story.
Looking to turn the interception into points.
In Seattle's base cover 3, he was the curl flat wall, the alley eraser. In man coverage, he eliminated tight ends with length and leverage. His run fits followed a formula: key the guard, not the back. Trigger downhill into the alley, win through the near hip, finish square. Receivers started feeling him. Coordinators started seeing the problem. Seattle had found its teeth, and Chancellor didn't play reckless. He played geometric, square, through, hips rolled on contact. As the NFL tightened hitting rules, he kept his strike zone legal. He bent with the evolution, never broke. The Legion of Boom went from nickname to environment. Earl Thomas giving range you couldn't teach. Richard Sherman offering bait and punishment. The corners pressing, windows shrinking, route stems funneling inside, right into Kam's world, where pain was the rent. 2013 regular season. Seattle ranked number 1 in scoring defense, total defense, pass defense, and passer rating allowed. They throttled New Orleans in the playoffs, suffocated San Francisco when it mattered.
The loudest.
And then came Super Bowl 48, February 2nd, 2014, Seattle versus Denver's record-breaking offense. Third play of the game. We started here, remember? Denver tries a quick crosser, Demaryius Thomas. Kam Chancellor reads it, closes like a missile. Boom, chest high, perfectly legal, and it rattles the whole building. The message is sent. The middle is closed. Later, second quarter, same quarterback, different target. Peyton Manning fires over the middle to Julius Thomas. Chancellor undercuts it, intercepted. The Legion of Boom smells blood. Final score, 43-8. Seattle dominates. Chancellor finishes with 10 tackles, an interception, and 2 pass breakups. The highest scoring offense in NFL history held to just 8 points. And on a roster full of stars, Chancellor was the foundation, the tone setter. You could call that a peak. He called it a standard. To understand how good Kam Chancellor actually was, you need to see what he did to the game itself. Goal line shots, seam routes, Chancellor arriving square and legal, dislodging the ball with textbook form. These weren't cheap shots. These were technique. 13-10 game, 1 second left. First and goal. Calvin Johnson catches it, turns for the pylon. Chancellor tracks from behind, targets the ball, not the man, and tomahawks it free at the 1-yard line. Touchback. Game over.
Johnson to the end zone, fumbles it, and it goes out of bounds. It'll be a touchback.
Chancellor recorded 10 tackles, returned an interception 90 yards for a touchdown. His only defensive score in the NFL, and twice he leaped over Carolina's line trying to block field goals, turning special teams into theater. Of course, the pick six went 90 yards. Kam never did anything halfway. From 2012 to 2015, Seattle finished #1 in scoring defense 4 straight seasons. No team in the Super Bowl era had ever done that.
Going long, intercepted. Kam Chancellor.
This wasn't luck. This was structural advantage. Seattle's press bail corners funneled routes inside. Earl Thomas's range eliminated deep outs. Kam Chancellor's presence collapsed the middle. Against 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends, Seattle could stay in nickel packages because Chancellor played like a linebacker against power runs.
Kam, intercepted! Kam Chancellor has it!
While covering tight ends like a long corner. In the red zone, as fields compressed, his ability to fit the run and wall off inside routes meant Seattle could play lighter boxes without giving up power. The result? Offensive coordinators removed entire sections of their playbooks, seam routes shrank. Inbreakers got dropped more against Seattle than anyone else because receivers developed alligator arms knowing Kam was coming. Hidden in the stats was the fear. Pete Carroll called him the soul of the Seahawks. Russell Wilson was the public face. Richard Sherman the loudest voice.
Try me with a sorry receiver like Crabtree. That's the result you're gonna get.
But Chancellor was the foundation. He captained the defense, united the locker room during back-to-back Super Bowl runs, and eventually he found his voice. Before a Monday night game against Buffalo, while injured and unable to play, Carroll asked him to speak to the team. Chancellor, who'd avoided that role for years, stepped forward. One match is a fire starter. It only takes one to light up the whole box. Seattle won. Teammates started calling his speeches religious chants. After a loss to Arizona in 2014, Michael Bennett told Chancellor he had the pregame speech. Chancellor tried to defer. "That's all you." Bennett's response, "It's not a choice. You're team captain." That's when the voice caught up to the standard. Chancellor held out for the first 2 games of the season, seeking a contract rework. Seattle went 0-2 without him. When he returned in week 3, he apologized to his teammates, taking accountability for disrupting chemistry. Then he immediately tilted outcomes again with the game-saving play against Calvin Johnson. Leadership isn't about being perfect, it's about being accountable. November 2017, Arizona. Chancellor suffers a neck and nerve injury. The medical advice leaves no room for interpretation. Play again and risk paralysis. He finished the season on injured reserve. In 2018, at age 30, he announced he couldn't continue. Careers end for many reasons. Chancellor's ended for the same reason it soared: power. The leverage and ferocity that made him the best strong safety of his era pushed his body to its breaking point. He left with a championship ring, the respect of a city, and a blueprint coaches still study. Kam Chancellor spent his entire career in Seattle. 8 seasons of toughness, leadership, and fearlessness in the middle of the field.
Flushed down the pocket. Defended beautifully.
He racked up more than 600 tackles, forced turnovers, broke up passes, made 4 Pro Bowls, and walked away a Super Bowl champion. He didn't just play safety. He anchored a defense that defined an era. He set a tone, built a culture, and became one of the most respected players in the league.
Picked by Chancellor. Intercepted by Kam Chancellor.
But numbers don't tell the story. When you compare the great safeties, each had a quality. Troy Polamalu was sanctioned chaos, timed leaps and calculated gambles. Ed Reed was pure vision, living in passing lanes before quarterbacks released the ball. Earl Thomas was range, a racer speed that shrunk the deep middle to nothing. Kam Chancellor was gravity. He pulled the middle of the field down a level. Routes that worked against other defenses disappeared against Seattle. Offenses either avoided his airspace or paid rent in pain. When teams tried to copy Seattle's single-high press bail system, most versions failed.
Picked off. Kam
because they were missing the critical piece. A strong safety who could live in the box like a linebacker, survive in space like a corner, and captain calls with a quarterback's mind. That's why the Legion of Boom's template broke down elsewhere. The scheme wasn't just about rules and alignments, it was about the rare player who made those alignments function. Today, defensive coaches still speak of the Chancellor role. Few can fill it, because few possess the combination of physical gifts, football intelligence, and personal character that defined him. From Norfolk's housing projects to the pinnacle, from two-star recruit to fifth-round pick to franchise pillar, from the quiet kid to the voice teammates waited for in the tunnel. Scouting is probabilities, not certainties. And Kam Chancellor proved that stars don't define destinies. They merely suggest possibilities. He redefined strong safety for the modern NFL, not by being Ed Reed or Troy Polamalu, but by being something entirely his own. Geometric precision in alignment, keys, and strike. In a league designed to create space, he collapsed that space through intelligence and controlled violence. How good was Kam Chancellor? Good enough that when coaches draw up how to stop the seam, his name still comes up. Good enough that a defense ranked #1 for 4 straight years had him as the foundation. Good enough that receivers still remember the footsteps. Good enough that a 2-star quarterback recruit became the standard by which an entire position is now judged. In a sport that glorifies the spectacular, he found greatness in the fundamental. The perfect angle, the precise strike, the timely word. He didn't just play safety, he redefined it. And that quiet kid from Norfolk, he became exactly what Coach Parker said. The guy everyone wanted to be like. The guy everyone stepped in line behind. The soul of a dynasty. The conscience of champions. The gravity that bent the modern game to his will. One of the greatest safeties to ever play the position.